Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
We want to go to the next aspect. This is agricultural laws and reforms. Agricultural laws and reforms, especially in Nigeria. Here we are going to study land tenure system in Nigeria. And again, we are going to look at the land use decree of 1978 in Nigeria also. We will currently consider the reasons why government should enforce the land use legislation. I repeat, we'll look at land tenure system in Nigeria. We're going to look at the land use decree of 1978. We currently consider the reasons why government should enforce the land use legislation. Now, firstly, the land tenure system in Nigeria. The word tenure means time frame. It means the length of time that somebody has control or influence over a property or over an office. For instance, you can say the tenure of the past president was good or was bad for the nation. So tenure means the time frame. Now, land is an entity that remains forever. But different people at different times occupy the land, and then they transfer the land from one person to another. And the person to whom the land is transferred, either by purchase or by gift, uses it for a period of time, and then give it to another person, maybe by death or by sales. Now, this is why we study methods by which somebody can acquire land, control land, and transfer land in the society. Land tenure system in Nigeria is the legal ways by which land could be acquired, could be controlled, and also could be transferred in the country. Now, for land tenure system, we have about 7 ways by which somebody can acquire land or somebody can have control over land. 7 ways. And this includes number 1, by communal land tenure system. Communal is adjective of community. That means a group of people controlling the land. Then you have land tenure by inheritance. Inheritance means the right to own something that belongs to a late person, maybe by birth or by relationship. Then leasehold system. Lease means to acquire a property and to have the use for it for a number of time, having pay for that thing to cover the use of the time. Then you have land tenure by tenancy. Tenancy means rent. That actually means to occupy a property and use it, and while you are paid for it monthly or yearly. Land tenure by purchase or freehold, land tenure by pledge or gift, land tenure by government at will. Those are 7 methods by which we can acquire land. No, let's go to the first one. The first one is communal land tenure system. This is a system whereby the entire community of a particular location controls the use of that land. Every member of the community, every adult member of the community has the right to make use of the land. But nobody has the right to lay claim or to possess the land. The end of such community shares and allocate land for the members. For instance, in Yoruba community, we have the Oba. In Igbo, we have the Eze. In Calabar, we have the Obong. Maybe in the north, you might have the Emir. You might have Eze in the east. Now, all these title holders, all these chiefs, if they practice communal land tenure system, they'll be the one to control that land in the community, and they share it among their members, among the members of the community, perhaps at interval of time, maybe 2 years to 3 years, as they so fit. That's communal land tenure system. This method has a lot of advantages. We'll be considering advantages and disadvantages of each of the methods. We also consider the right that somebody has for that land. For the use of land, you look at the rights. Before I go to the advantages and disadvantages, let's talk about the rights somebody can have over land. There are 2 rights that are identified. The first right is called the use right. I hope you can say that with me. Yes, the use right. The use right. Then we have the other right we call the ownership right. Can you say that also? Yes, ownership right. Ownership right. Ownership. These are the 2 rights that are common to properties. The first one, the use right. The use right is a kind of transfer right that somebody has permission to use a particular thing, but not to own it. For instance, if I'm studying a class, I need a pen, and I ask you, the student, please, can I use your pen? Then you give it to me for use. You are giving me the use right. Then when the class is over and I'm stepping out, you will remind me, say, sir, please, may I have my pen? Why? Because you've not given it to me. You've not given me the ownership. You just gave me the use right. Then I'll return the pen to you. That's the use right. Many times somebody could be allowed to use land. He may be paying for it. He may not be paying for it. Then he's allowed to use it or allowed to occupy a property, maybe a flat or a shop. Then at a particular time, the owner of the place would demand for it. That person who has using it has only the use right. But there's what we call ownership right. Ownership right is right you have to claim a property, to lay claim on it, to defend that property, to own the property, and to take the property to yourself. This is called the ownership right. There are some ways you can acquire land and you have the ownership right. Then there are other ways you can acquire land that you don't have the ownership right, but you have the use right. As we continue in the types of land system in Nigeria, as well in West Africa, we'll see those areas where somebody can have ownership right or you could only have the use right. So the first one, communal land system, I told you, is a method by which somebody or is a method by which the community, controlled by the head of the community, either the Oba or Eze or Bong or Emir or Chief or King, controls the land, but he apportions it to the subjects, to the community members, which will use the land for a space of time, after which the land may be collected from him and allocated to another person. What are the advantages under this method? The first advantage is that it generates unity among the community members, because there is something that ties them together. Land, it brings about unity, oneness. It brings togetherness to the community. Another advantage of it, again, is that it kind of enables cooperative farming. It enables cooperative farming. 2, 3 or more farmers could join their farms together and have only one farm, which they will farm together as a commercial farm. Advantages of land tenure system by communal method. The one is that it generates unity among the community members. The community members kind of be united because there's a common front of land that join them together. Number 2, it enables every adult member of the community to have free access to the land. Land is acquired free of charge, so it gives them the right to acquire land free of charge. Number 3 is that cooperative farming can be made possible among them. The farmers can join efforts together for cooperative farming. They can join efforts together and have a single farm which will be big. But it has a lot of disadvantages. The one disadvantage is that it can create disputes between the community members. Perhaps the community head, the king, the Oba, the Eze, or the Obong, has been partial in sharing the land. The people may revolt, and this can lead to death of some of them. So it can lead to disputes between community members. Number 2, the method also leads to land fragmentation. Because since land is going to be given to every member of the community, the land will be shared to smaller sizes, which may not be adequate for farming works. 3, commercial agriculture is difficult under that situation. Because commercial agriculture needs large expanse of land. But when land is shared in bits for people to use for farming, commercial agriculture will be difficult. Another disadvantage is that that kind of a land cannot be used as a collateral to secure loan from banks, because you do not have control over it. It's not yours. It's only you have use right. You don't have ownership right. Such land cannot be used as a collateral to acquire loan in the bank. The land can also not be resold. You cannot resell the land to earn money. You cannot plan also for future use of the land. You cannot develop the land. You can't build house on it, except you have a thorough permission and backing of the head of the community. So there are a lot of difficulties attached to land tenure by communal land. The other advantage is that non-member of the community may not be allowed to use land, because oftentimes the land is not enough for them to practice agriculture. So the little land available will be shared among the community members. Non-member of the community may not have access to such lands. Now, number 2, land tenure by inheritance. Land tenure by, I've said initially that land tenure by inheritance means it's a situation whereby somebody acquires the right and the right to possess and own and to use the land that belongs to a late parent or a late relation whose land has now been transferred to the individual. Under land tenure by inheritance, the beneficiary has ownership rights. The land has been transferred to him. He has ownership right to control the land. Because of the ownership right he has, he also enjoys a lot of advantages. Number 1 is that the land is acquired free of charge. When you acquire inheritance, you do not pay for it. That's acquired free of charge. Number 2, the land can be used to grow commercial, tree crops, plantation crops, permanent crops can be grown on the land. Under communal land tenure system, you cannot grow permanent crops because the land may be taken from you to another person in the subsequent years. But under land tenure by inheritance, the beneficiary can use the land to plant permanent crops like cocoa, like oil palm, and kola nut, and rubber. Under land tenure system as well, another advantage is that the land can be sold for money. The owner, the beneficiary, might need money for other reasons, so he can sell the land. It's his own. The land can be sold. Another advantage of this method is that the land can be developed. To develop land means to build house on the land. The land can be developed because it's yours. Then the land can be improved for better productivity of crops. What is land improvement? Land improvement has to do with the way land is managed in a way that there is improvement of fertility on the land to enhance agricultural activities. This includes the application of manures, the application of fertilizers, and other means that will make the land productive agriculturally. When you acquire land and use land under communal land tenure system or leasehold or land tenure by tenancy, in that wise you are afraid that the land could be taken away from you at any moment. You do not want to improve the land. You don't want to spend too much money to improve the land. But under land tenure by inheritance, the farmer can improve. He can put fertilizer, can put manure, because he has the right to use land for as long as time he desires. But this land tenure by inheritance has some disadvantages too. Number 1 is that it leads to land fragmentation. Can you imagine where somebody has a piece of land, small piece of land, and he has 10 children? The land has to be divided to 10 plots, and each given to the children. And a husband that has 1/10 of that land also have maybe 6 children. Then when it's time for him to pass on the land to his next generation, that small land will be divided to 6. This the breaking of the land to segments is what we call land segmentation. And the beneficiary will now be able to control small area of land, which will make it difficult for him to practice commercial agriculture. Just like communal land tenure system, commercial agriculture is not very easy to practice here. Another disadvantage is that it can also lead to dispute, quarrel, and bitter enmity between the family members. Sometimes somebody in the family might decide to hold the land alone and then find a way of terminating the lives of the members. Sometimes somebody else might fight for the land as against the member of the family, and then you have litigation, which take them to the court. So land tenure system by inheritance has such a advantage. Another advantage it has is that most often no member of the family may not be allowed to use land. If you're not a member of the family, you may not be allowed to use land in some instances. These are the disadvantages of land tenure by inheritance. But land can be used as a collateral to collect loan. That's a good advantage. It can be used as a collateral to collect loan from the bank. And the land can be sold in future. The next is land use by leasehold system. A leasehold system is a system whereby somebody acquires the land for use over a length of time, like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or more. And that wise, he pays money to cover the use of that for that length of time. Under leasehold method, 2 people are involved. The first person is called the lessor. And the second group is called the lessee. The lessor is the person we call the landlord. That means the owner of the land. While the lessee is the user, the person who intends to acquire the land for use. Under this agreement, the lessee we agree with the lessor and pay to cover the use of the land for a long period of land, years, like 10 years, 15, 20 years or more. Once he has paid to cover the use of this land for that period of time, he is given the permission and the right to use that land for length of time. At that, there is no way for the lessor to come back and collect the land except at the expiration of the time agreed in the agreement. The advantages of this leasehold method, one, is that it enables individual to acquire land for use in places where it does not have the right by inheritance or by communal ability to acquire land. For instance, an Igbo man in Lagos who has no family lineage through which he can inherit land in Lagos, he can acquire land by lease from a family that want to lease it out or individual want to lease it out. So that's that one. Number two is that it enables proper planning during the period of lease agreement. Maybe this agreement is 10 years. You can plan to use the land for that and you can have a good plan for it. Unlike when it is rent, or which you can be chased out of the land at any moment. So lease agreement can be, and then again your lease agreement can be used as a collateral. If you still have a very good number of years to use the land, you can arrange to acquire land loan without collateral within the limited time if it's still long enough. But it has a lot of disadvantages too. Number one is that the land may be too small for agricultural activities. Two, the land may not be good enough, may not be fertile, may not be adequate for that purpose in time. Number three, the land may be very expensive, especially in cities like Lagos and Abuja. You want to take leased land for agricultural works. Agricultural activity does not yield returns quick, and so it may not be very encouraging in cities to embark on leased land for agriculture. Those are the disadvantages. The person who has this land has only the use right. He doesn't have the overall ownership right of the land. Now, next is land tenure by tenancy or by rent. In this system, there are two groups of people that are involved also. You have the first person that is called the landlord. The landlord is the owner of the land. Then here you have the person that is called the tenant. The tenant is the user. The tenant is the user of the land. Under this agreement, the tenant agrees to acquire, or the landlord agrees to release a parcel of land to the tenant for use, having agreed to pay certain amount of money as what we call rent for the use of that land for specific interval of time. Most often, the interval of time used under the rent agreement in land is yearly. But in some instances, it might be monthly or 6 months. That's twice in a year, depending on the agreement that suits the landlord and the tenant. And again, under this relationship, the tenant does not have full control on the land. As per, he will use the land based on the dictate of the landlord. The advantage of this method is that, number one, it enables somebody to acquire land for use where it does not have right to acquire land by ownership or by communal method. Number two is that also enables a land that is free, that is not busy in usage, to be used for money. For instance, the landlord who has a land that he wants to develop, but he's not ready to develop it, he has not government to develop it, he can rent it out for to a tenant who maybe use it for agricultural purposes, and he will be paying money to the farmer. So the farmer or the owner of the land makes money from his land that could have been left lying fallow. So both the tenant and landlord, both of them, they have things to gain. The landlord will be gaining money based the time the tenant is using the land, and the tenant also will be using the land for productive activities. But it has some disadvantages. Number one is that land cannot be used as collateral to collect loan, regardless the size of it. You cannot acquire loan with it because the owner of the land will not allow you. Number two is that land cannot be used to cultivate permanent crops because you don't know how long you will stay that the owner of the land, the landlord, will desire it. So you cannot plant permanent crops there. The land cannot be developed as per, you cannot build house on the land because it's never yours. You don't have ownership right. You cannot raise any permanent structure of it on it. The land can also not be developed very well. The planning for the land could be affected because you do not know how long the owner of the land, the landlord, may permit to stay on the land. So, and these are the disadvantages of land. You cannot use it as collateral. You cannot resell it. You cannot build house on it. These are the disadvantages of land, by tenancy or by rent. Then we have the amount of money that the person who has the land, who uses the land, pays per period of time, either yearly or monthly. That amount is also called rent. So the rent can be for because of it for now. Now, land by pledge, no, by purchase or freehold. Land not by purchase or freehold. This system whereby an individual who has gotten enough money to do so buys a piece of land, perhaps for agricultural purposes. And once the land is purchased, all the deeds and the right of the land will be transferred to the buyer, who is now the new owner of the land. This has lots of advantages because the new owner now has ownership rights, and by that, there are advantages attracted. Number one is that land can be resold in future for bigger cash when necessary. Number two, the land can be developed into building structure. Number three, the land can be improved without any fear by way of applying fertilizers and manure on the land. Number four, permanent crops can be grown on the land. You can grow permanent crops. It's your land. You're not afraid of anybody. Number five is that the land can also be used as collateral to collect loan from banks, because we are talking about the land you have purchased. You have the right to use it if you want to obtain loan as a collateral from banks. So these are the advantages that you can acquire. But it has a lot of advantages that you can have under land by purchase. Number one disadvantage is that land could be bought from a wrong source. You've had a situation whereby somebody buys land and in an attempt to use it, another person will come to lay claim. And when they go to court, they will say the buyer has gotten it from a wrong person. So the land, if care is not taken, the land could be bought from a wrong source, especially in the cities. And when that is done, you will lose your capital that you invested and you lose the money, the land. The other advantage of it again that the land may not be big enough for agricultural purposes, because you want to use land for agriculture. If you talk about big land, the land may not be big enough. The land may not be, will not also be structurally okay for agricultural activities. These are some of the advantages of you can get to land by purchase. But you can buy from the wrong source. You may not have a good land eventually. And then we go to land by pledge or gift. Now, this is a system whereby somebody acquires a piece of land free of charge, from an individual who desires to give him the land, either based on goodwill or an appreciation. Now, if it is pledge, that means there is something you have done to accrue to get you the land. For instance, somebody may say, "Oh, if you do this for me, I will give you this piece of land for free." And you've done that thing, then he gives you the land. That's pledge. But gift is when somebody just decides, "Oh, this boy, oh, this guy, maybe you are doing your wedding, or maybe you just meet with his favor and just dash a piece of land that you don't even qualify for." In both sides, both ways, the land is acquired free of charge. When you acquire land like that, you equally have the ownership right alongside with it. Now, one advantage is that you can resell the land if you so desire. Two, you can plant permanent crops. Three, you can build, you can erect a structure, you can develop the land, you can improve the land, as you like. And the land can be used as collateral to secure loans. But the advantages of this method is that number one, the land may be lost in future at the demise of the person who gave it to the land. If the land is not properly backed up with good notes and with good documents from the person who gave the land, to you. You may eventually lose the land. Maybe the family members will come and quarrel and say the land wasn't given to you in the first place. So that's major the advantage of that. And in future, the government may step in to the land and collect it, because you may not know situations and history and everything surrounding that land. Land may be lost to the government in future. Next, land tenure by government at will. Under this system, the government allows people to make use of land, and why they pay little token to the government. This arrangement that government makes use of, on government lands that are allotted for government uses. And when government is not ready to use the land, government can allot it to citizens. And when it's allotted to the citizens will have the duty to maintain the land and pay a little token back to the government at 8 hours. The amount to be paid to the government will be much lesser to the amount if it was rented or it was taken as a lease. It has advantages. Number one, it enables individuals to use land, where necessary. Two, enables the free land to be economically put to use. Land that government has been putting together that is not being used, somebody can use it and can be making money, and government will make little money or small money. The advantage of it is that the land cannot be used as collateral, like I've mentioned, that the land by rent. You cannot resell it. You cannot grow permanent crops there like cocoa and palm. You cannot, because you don't know the time when government will have you to leave the land, and you cannot improve the land. Your improvement of the land is also subject to the taste of the government. Welcome back to the class. Now we'll move to the land section B, Land Use Decree of 1978. Land Use Decree of 1978. Now, before 1978, the land in Nigeria was controlled by customary laws. Customary laws are the laws of the land, the laws of the region, maybe Yoruba region, Igbo region, Hausa region. Most of these laws follow the ethnic, maybe religion, or ethnic, social, cultural beliefs. But there were a series of litigations, problems, and issues on the customary land tenure system. Land tenure by communal, by rent, and by inheritance. There were a series of problems, and from different places in Nigeria, there was no uniformity, when it comes to issues on land matters and how to resolve it. So, because of these myriads of problems that have encumbered land in Nigeria, the government of President or of General Olusegun Obasanjo on March 29th, 1978, promulgated or he passed a decree regarding the use of land in Nigeria. That decree was called Land Use Decree of 1978. Land Use Decree of 1978. Now we are going to look at the features of the decree. Then we are going to look at the aims of the decree. We're going to equally look at the advantages of the decree and the disadvantages of the decree. Now first, let's look at the features of the decree. The features. In other words, what are the contents? What are the things that the decree tend to address? What are the things the decree tends to, or what are the features? What are the contents you have in decree? The features of Land Use Decree, LUD, the features of Land Use Decree of 1978. Don't forget, the decree was passed on March 29th, 1978 by then head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, the first thing is that the decree states that all land in Nigeria belong to the federal government. All land in Nigeria belongs to the federal government. All land in Nigeria belongs to the federal government, who holds it in trust for the people. Who holds it in trust for the people. What it means is that all the land in Nigeria, from the north to the south, from west to east, is the property of the federal government. You see, before then, individuals have control over land. Communities like king, like obas, they have control over their lands. But once that decree was passed, the power and the control of the land was transferred to the hand of the federal government. then it is believed that people own the land, but government owns the land, and the government control it for the people. Number two is that the state government or governors now have been empowered to control and allocate land in the state. Have been empowered to control and allocate land in the state. What it means is that the land in Nigeria, because Nigeria is so vast and big, the state government or governors are to represent the federal government in their states. They are now the one that will control the land and divide for the people. For instance, in Nigeria, in Lagos State today, the use of land is controlled by the executive governor of Lagos State, in the person of His Excellency Ambode, is one now that has the control. When he's out of it, another person will have control over the land. So the state government have been empowered to control and to allocate the land in the state. Number three, there are 6 features. The third feature states that any individual who want to acquire land in Nigeria must have attained age 21. Any individual can acquire land for use in Nigeria at age 21 and above. Acquire land for use in Nigeria at age 21 years and above. We know that in Nigeria, we follow the British system of government. The age of maturity is 18. When somebody is 18 years, is mature in Nigeria, he can marry, he can be married, he can vote, he can obtain driver's license, he can be arrested for offenses. So that's age of maturity. But at that age, you do not have the right to acquire land. The age at which somebody is allowed to acquire land in Nigeria is the age 21 years and above by the law. The fourth is that anybody who wants to acquire land in Nigeria must pay a certain amount of money to the state government and collect certificate of occupancy, C of O. So any prospective land user or intending land user must pay certain amount of money depending on the state, certain amount of money to the state government and collect C of O and collect certificate of occupancy which we call C of O. Now C of O, don't forget, it's not certificate of occupation, it's not certificate of ownership, it's not certificate of operation. What do I call it? Yes, certificate of occupancy. You see, anybody want to use land in the states, after he has got the land, maybe he purchased it or inherited it, he has to take permission for it to be used, because state government represents the federal government. We will take the permission from state government, and the state government will give the permission by issuing the individual certificate of occupancy that I have allowed you to occupy this place. We will pay for it. That C of O shows that he has the legal backing of the government to use that land for the purpose he has so desired. The C of O, the amount payable for the C of O varies from one state to another. Then the fourth or the fifth is that the land that is acquired by individual under this system can be used for 99 years. The land can be used for 99 years, after which it reverts to the government. The C of O is valid only for 99 years, after which it reverts to the... A lot of students have been asking me, sir, does it mean after expiration of 99 years, government will collect land from the individual? No, government will not collect land from the individual. What it does mean is that you will have to renew your C of O, and maybe you or your children, because at that time you might have gone. I mean, can you imagine someone who purchased land at the age of 21 years and he has to use it for 99 years? That means he has to be 120. Even if he's alive, then will he know what is happening? No. So what it means is that you can have the used land for the 99 years. Maybe then you will renew it. the C of O. Government just did that in an attempt for you to know that though you acquired land for use, but government still has the right to control the land. The sixth one and the last one is that the federal government attempt to enable commercial farmers to have access to land. Government now has allotted and has allowed farmers to use up to 500 hectares of land for crop production, and also has allowed up to 5,000 hectares of land for grazing. Yes, under this system, if a farmer want to do commercial agriculture, you can obtain up to 500 hectares of land. Yes, and then you can obtain up to 5,000 hectares of land if you want to do grazing. This is to encourage people to go to commercial agriculture. Now, these are the features of Land Use Decree of 1978. Now, I want to look at the aims of Land Use Decree. Now, note this. The aims of Land Use Decree are almost the same with the importance or advantages of Land Use Decree. The aims of Land Use Decree are almost similar to the advantages of Land Use Decree. The difference will be in the way you use your language. Let's go. For example, I want to say the aims of Land Use Decree. Number one, the aims are to encourage proper, productive, and efficient use of land. To encourage proper, productive, and efficient use of land in the country. Number two, to allocate land and create opportunities for enterprising farmers to acquire more land. Enterprising farmers are the hardworking farmers. So to create opportunities and encourage hardworking farmers to acquire more land for agriculture. Number three is to facilitate planning and formation of programs for land use in the country. To facilitate planning and formation of programs for land use in the country. So you cannot formulate and plan the use of land in the nation if there is no decree. The decree will serve as a law, as a basis, as a background upon which any other planning you want to have on land or you want to form on land will be based. Number four is to streamline and simplify the management of land in the country. You see, before the decree came, the management of land is complex. In the Yoruba land, there's the way they manage land, different from the one they do in the Igbo land, the one they do in the Ijaw, the one they do in the north. But now, Nigeria has a unified method by which land is managed. So the decree was passed so as to streamline, to narrow down, to simplify the management and use of land in the country. And again, to remove the unpleasant controversies and disputes that has befallen traditional land use method in Nigeria. I told you that before land use decree was passed, before March 1978, the land was controlled by customary laws or customary system. And these customary laws are subject to a lot of anomaly, a lot of problems. Now, government now made the effort to pass the decree so as to remove these unpleasant controversies and disputes that the traditional land system have generated. But now let's go to the advantages or to the importance of land use decree in Nigeria. Number one, it creates proper and efficient use. It enables proper and efficient use of land. It enables proper and efficient use of land. If you look at it compared to the first one I gave under the implications, I said in the implications that it helps, or under the aims rather, I said that it encourages proper and productive and efficient use of land. You see, that's the aims. It encourages proper and efficient use of land. But when you come to the advantages, we say it enables. So they are almost the same. So let's go now. Number one, what are the advantages or importance of land use decree? Number one, it enables proper and efficient use of land in the country. Number two, it enables people to acquire land from any part of the country. You remember when we were talking about land tenure system by inheritance and by communal method, we said non-member of the community or non-member of the family may not be allowed to use land. But now under land use decree, you can acquire land in any part of the country. A Yoruba man can acquire land in the east or in the south or in the west, in the north. Why? Because land is owned by the government, land belongs to the government, and the state governor is one controlling it, not families, not individuals, not communities. And the family and the government will not discriminate. So this land use decree enables individuals to acquire land from any part of the country. Number three, it's the acquisition of land, hectares of land for agricultural activities is possible. The acquisition of land, of large area of land for commercial activities is now possible. And again, another advantage is that the CFO that you collected can be used to secure loan. The CFO you collected from government can be used to secure loan from banks. Then it also enables you to lay claim and control on the land. Because once you have collected your CFO, you lay claim on the land. If anybody comes to dispute land with you, to take litigation against you, the CFO you have is a sure weapon to defend your ownership and to defend that the land belongs to you because you have collected a certificate of occupancy. It prevents the excesses of land speculators. There are people that we call land speculators. These are people that inflate the prices of land. They will buy a piece of land in a remote place. They will hype the price. They will now be selling it at exorbitant prices. Sometimes they will keep the land for years unused, and when it has now appreciated, now begin to sell it. Now government is out to fight them. So it's not allowed under the system for someone to buy a large area of land and keep it for years. Government will step into it. So this law helps to curb, to prevent, to stop, to arrest the excesses of land speculators. Good. Okay, let's look at disadvantages. Because truly, this land decree is quite good for the nation, for every one of us. But there are some disadvantages there that are observable. Number one is that this decree, it enables only few and wealthy individuals to acquire land in Nigeria, all over the place. For instance, some people that have money, especially those people that have embezzled our money, the politicians, they can buy 100 houses in Lagos, buy 30 houses in Abuja, go to Calabar and buy, go to Zara, go to North. They can go out and buy the land up. Meanwhile, you that are a member of the community, that are working hard, that don't have access to government cover, will not be able to own a property. So the decree, someone is trying to help us, but it has also created avenue for a lot of people to corruptly acquire land for their own good. Number two, I take number one again. I say number one, it enables few and wealthy individuals to acquire more land for themselves. Number two, the process to acquire land use, the acquire land is too stringent for a common Nigerian. The process to acquire land is too stringent, so difficult for an average Nigerian. Can you imagine? You have to pass through buying it, you have to pass through collecting your food. The condition is so stringent. It's not so straight. Like, okay, I bought my television, I take it home, I can watch it. Okay, I bought my handset, immediately I can go to use it. Even if I bought land, even if I acquired the land, sometimes you have to register the land, sometimes you have to test the land. The conditions are so stringent, so tight for an average Nigerian. So that land use decree is an additional problem, it's an additional order for individuals that have genuine interest to use land. 3, there are conflict interests between the state government and federal government on who has the superpower to control land, on who has the higher power to control land. Now we say that all land in Nigeria belong to the federal government, but the state government are to control it and allocate. Sometimes there will be conflicting interests between the federal and state government on a particular land. For instance, the state government might say, okay, this land, I want to use it for hospital. state hospital. Federal government may say, no, that land I want to use it for maybe federal hospital or for federal stadium or as a, for federal purposes. And so there will be conflicting. And when you have such conflicting issues, the two projects you may stop and the people may suffer for it. So the demarcation where the right of the state stops and where the right of the federal government starts is not well defined. Another disadvantage is that this decree creates a lot of delay in execution of projects. Why? Because sometimes it takes a long time to acquire CFO. The certificate of occupancy does not just come like you are buying things like that. You've got to register for it, take your survey plan, consult your consultants, and then register for it. Then wait until the executive governor of the state signs it. The executive governor of the state may not even have time to sign your CFO until his power and another person comes in. Sometimes to move the file from one place to another, you've got to grease the palm or people that are in charge. So the bottlenecks, the difficulties that are created, in executing this decree is a problem to an average Nigerian. Yes. So execution of projects are often delayed in waiting for the CFO to be given. Another one is that the land held by inheritance is made insecure. Somebody who acquires land by inheritance now, he cannot use the land. He cannot use land. Why? Because there is a decree that says you must collect CFO. Next is that it creates room for irregularities in land matters. Why? Because now people with backdate agreement, they know that the law will be holding them. If any land is purchased after after March 29/78, when the decree was passed, so most of them will now backdate the agreement. They buy the agreement. So it allows irregularities and fraud in land matters. It allows irregularities and fraud in land matters. These are some of the strategies that will come by through land use decree. But before we round up the land use decree, there are some implications of land use decree. Implication means there are some, to better explain it, that there are some things that we must understand, so I will not misconstrue the government's intention in passing this decree. What are these implications? The implications are this. Number one is that individual ownership of land ceases. So number one is that you can no longer lay claim. What it means that you cannot say this is my land. Government owns the land now. If I thought you bought it, if I thought you are selling it, government, you must also take permission of the government. So individual ownership of the land stops. Then number two, it ensures that whoever needs land will have it for good uses. So even if you are a native of Kwara State and you are living in Port Harcourt in Calabar, if you have a genuine need for land, you have it. So the law ensures that anybody who has genuine need for use of land will have it, instead of keeping the land in a place and not using it. So anybody who has genuine need, because land is now government of property of federal government, anybody who has genuine need for land will use it. Another thing again is that the decree prevents people to buy large area of land and keep it for future use without any intention to use it presently. You can't buy large, you say I have money, buy large area of land and keep for future. It's not possible. The decree prevents individual to buy a large area of land with intention to sell it in future. Then it also allows people that are up higher than 21 years of age to 21 years and above to apply for CFO. It allows you that once you are 21 years of age and you have the ability to acquire land for use, you can use it. It also implies that anybody who have a good intention for use and will manage it properly, he can have access to the land. Now, these are the implications of land use decree. Now, let's look at reasons why government should enforce the land use legislations. Now, there are people who would want to refuse to follow the laid down rules and the legislation that guides the use of land in Nigeria. the government has to enforce it. What are reasons why should government enforce this legislation? Number one is to secure land tenants. People that have acquired that land must be secured. You've heard the case of homeowners that will come and draft people out. But now that government proves and pass the law that land belongs to the federal government, government need to enforce it. So whoever has the use of the land can have a rest of mind. Number two, it will also salvage government projects. Sometimes government have need for the land and they have project on it. A lot of people will claim that land, that government should not use the land, it belongs to the family. But if government enforces the law and the rules, it enables government to be able to use land for the common good, common benefit of the people. It enables land improvement. When government enforces this law, it enables the land to be improved without any fear, so that people that make use of the land can apply fertilizer manure on their farms. It also enables individuals that have common genuine interest for commercial agriculture to use it. Government need to enforce this decree so that people that have genuine interest on the use of land can also use it. Then government need to enforce this to reduce the cases of litigation on land in the law courts.